Now has the Tigers to thank for 6 of those wins after playing them on the road 5 times. Bowden at last had the Tigers in his own backyard. Well, the expected win happened, but as Scott Atwell tells us, it was not all candy and roses.
It was the game that ended Bobby Bowden's quest for 200, but it will also be remembered as the game that ended with a brawl.
Well, it's just a shame. I mean, LSU and Florida State played about as clean a game as I'd seen. Their kids were patting ours on the back, and ours was patting them on the back, and first thing I know, it was a free-for-all out there.
The fisticuffs broke out in 2 different locales, beginning with a sideline shot on the game's final play. Kirk Carruthers was flagged for a late hit, but he says the quarterback was still in bounds.
One of the offense linemen came out and felt that, I had hit him late, which it was clearly a good hit, and tried to attack me.
They did throw a flag.
It wasn't at me, though.
Yeah, it was on the hit.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to watch the film tonight. To me, I felt like I was still in bounds.
If you just get totally whipped on the field, I don't think you should take actions like that. Just accept it. And I guess they wouldn't, because I already know that they're a nasty team anyway.
If LSU was frustrated, they had plenty of reason. It began on the game's first play when the Tigers fumbled away the opening kickoff. FSU recovered at the 16. A short time later, turnover number 2. Chad Loop dropped by Bill Reagans. The Seminoles recover at the 7. Then, just before the half, turnover number 3. Loop thrown for a loop by Reggie Freeman. It was Florida State's ball at the 38.
Basically, our quarterbacks held the ball too long. Instead of throwing the ball to the receiver or just throwing it away, we held it too long. They were legitimate fumbles.
And all 3 of the turnovers led to Florida State touchdowns. Fumble number 1 turned into Amp Lee's 9-yard scamper. Fumble number 2 was cashed in by Lee again, this time from 6 yards out. And fumble number 3 turned into a Hail Mary that came as time expired in the first half.
And I just said in the huddle, I said, listen now, don't let me have a cheap interception on this play right here because you see it so often. And Shannon Baker said, shoot, an interception, we're going to score.
A lot of times you see on TV all 3 of the receivers jump up for the ball, and the ball lands so close by me, somebody could have made a play. So I just told 2 guys jump, I stay on the ground. And they came right to me.
There was little wonder that Florida State had the confidence to go deep. Sandwiched in between the turnover touchdowns, the Tribe put together a 99-yard drive without the aid of LSU. Weldon to Matt Fryer. Pass interference was called, but it wasn't needed. And Weldon, in his first career start, finished with 229 yards on 15 completions. This drive was capped by who else? Amp Lee, who scored 3 times but was unimpressed with his effort.
I scored the touchdowns, but I don't feel as though I played the best that I could have played. After looking back on the game, I found out that I need to work on some things that I haven't been working on in practice.
LSU, meanwhile, managed only a first-quarter field goal as the Seminole defense limited the Tigers to only 207 total yards. Carruthers led the way with 13 tackles.
I've come from the doghouse to the penthouse. There's no doubt about it. The last 2 weeks, I felt I played better. Today, I wanted to go all out. I learned that I made the top 10 for the finalists in the Buckus. I wanted to prove to the country that I am one of the greatest linebackers in the country.
Well, Bobby Bowden's success over LSU has nothing to do with Tiger Stadium after all. He can beat him right here in Tallahassee just as well. And finally, Florida State's coach has his
Of Florida State University. There was a clipping call on the interception return, thus the ball was moved back here to the 8-yard line. Here comes Pinckney again. Drives it out to the 28. Gain of 15 yards. Clock continues to run as soon as they move the sticks up here. Get the first down set. Now the clock starts running again.
Yeah, I think any young coach ought to study that man's philosophy, and they ought to study his career and how it's advanced, and how he's dealt with both success and disappointment. He seems to have kept it all in good perspective. There's a bevy of grandchildren and sons that are pursuing the coaching career.
Felder rifles it over here, and it's picked off by LSU to the 29-yard line. With the ball, number 8, Carlton Buckels. Return of 12.
Good release, though.
Yes.
Got some snap on that ball.
Kenny Felder threw it to the wrong jersey that time. And 45 seconds remaining in this ball game for Bobby Bowden. He's about to get 200. It was hard coming. He hadn't had a victory in October. His last victory with Seminoles came in September. Then the loss came to Miami, followed by the loss to Auburn, and a week off in between there. LSU has been unable to score a touchdown today. That was Tyke Tolbert making the reception, number 84. Early 42-3, so I'm sure they'd like to try to get it in the end zone, even though there's only 38 seconds remaining in this ball game. So now, Bobby, what are you going to do for us next? So you won 200.
I don't think he's through yet. He doesn't. Does it seem to you like his joy for the game has diminished? He still talks with enthusiasm, and I think he's still, obviously, he's. Pressure has now left his life. I mean, he's not. What can they do? Fire me.
Lifetime contract here at Florida State. Under pressure. Intended for Slip Watkins, and coming over to break it up was Bill Reagan's Kirk Carruthers in there to get all over Jesse Daigle when he released that ball. No, my feeling with Bobby is that if anything, he can be more effective as a coach now with some of the pressure to perform off, because he has performed so well over the years as the head coach here. And I think he enjoys it more in that sense, and maybe even a more effective coach today.
I think so too. You know, there you see Ray Smoot being helped off the field there. Ray's a tackle for LSU and played a little guard because of the injury to Chris Truax. You know, something about this LSU offense against Florida, they found themselves at times on the field with only 2 guys on their offense that finished the spring with them at the same position. So, I mean, it's been injuries and it's been tough.
Trying to go to Beckham down at the 5. It's incomplete with 27 seconds left. And it'll be 4th down. Well, we'll go see what Alabama looks like. Alabama's playing Penn State today. We'll be televising Alabama at Mississippi State next week. I was myself shocked by the Alabama upset at Knoxville. You know,
oh yeah,
they've beaten Tennessee.
What a great effort, huh?
Tennessee in the last several years have only like 4 losses. They're all to Alabama. 4 losses in the at home in Knoxville. Andy Martin jumped off sides.
Andy Martin twitched a little bit, but he's been a real tooth and nail for him.
Ball start. LSU still 4th down.
He went 60 minutes with Huey Richardson against Florida, and Huey didn't come out of there with a sack. You know, they ought to give an award to Julia Ann Bowden too. You know, I mean, you ought to give an award to the wife of a coach who wins 200 games. Putting up with this stuff.
Daigle completes it over the middle to Beckham. And Beckham to the 18-yard line. Clock down to 19 seconds. Carruthers with his 12th tackle of the day. What game he's had. Carruthers a little slow getting up down there too. We see a cooler of liquid down there on the sideline. Bobby Bowden's 200th win coming up. Is that ice in there? That could be cold. Bobby, look behind you. I don't want to be the guy to try that. Everybody seems to be okay as they get up from the field. We have 18 clicks of the clock remaining here. And it's 42-3.
Somebody else that deserves some recognition, Lieutenant Billy Smith. Now, he's a police officer standing next to Bowden there. He's the one that protects him through all these trials and tribulations. And those guys have spent, you know, a lot of afternoons together. It's the guy that walks with him.
We'll have to get through him to pour the water on Bowden, I guess. We'll watch that carefully here. This is the final ticks of this game. Daigle running for his life. And this one's now there's a flag goes down and Carruthers gets into it and they've doused him, and now we've got a big brawl out on the field marring what would have been the 200th victory for what is for Bobby Bowden. And look at this, that's an ugly mess down there. This is ugly. It all happened on that final tackle when they ran out of bounds on the sideline. Looks like they're starting to get it cleared up down there, although there's still some bodies flying around. They better get them pulled away from each other. The ball game is over. Archer trying to get his players to leave, as is Bobby Bowden. And that's terrible that his 200th victory has to end with the brawl. And the fans don't like it either. I have a feeling they're booing both these teams. Didn't need that to break out here. One of those unfortunate incidences where Daigle was running down the sideline. As he was at the sideline, he was hit, knocked out of bounds. Carruthers was over there. And of course, Carruthers then ended up in the middle of the LSU bench. Somebody on the bench got into Carruthers and vice versa. The next thing you know, we had the near brawl. It looks like everybody came out of it okay. And I think they've got it all straightened out in the field. Bobby Bowden can enjoy his